Milgram's research into obedience. So the question is outline and evaluate research into obedience, 12 marks. AA1. Research into obedience was conducted by Milgram. He recruited 40 male participants using a newspaper from different social backgrounds to take part in a study about memory. During the experiment, there were two Confederates, an experimenter, who was the authority figure, and the learner. The participant took on the role of teacher and was told he must administer increasingly strong electric shocks to the learner each time he got a question wrong on the learning task. The shocks started from 15 volts up to a maximum of 450 volts. The learner sat in an adjacent room so that the participant would not hear his increasing signs of discomfort and pain. If the participant wanted to stop, the experimenter would say things like, "It is essential that you must continue." Milgram found that no participant stopped below 300 volts and 65% of participants delivered the maximum of 450 volts, which would kill a person. Milgram carried out a large number of variations as he wanted to see whether it would have an effect on obedience levels. When the proximity levels changed, such as if the learner and the student was placed in the same room, Milgram found that the levels of obedience greatly decreased. When changing the location from the prestigious Yale University to rundown office blocks, obedience levels also decreased. Finally, when the experimenter was wearing plain clothes rather than a lab coat and issuing instructions, obedience levels dropped to 20%. AA3. Milgram's study has been criticised for being unethical as participants were deceived into believing that the allocation of roles as teacher and learner were completely random and that they were administering real electric shocks. Because of this deception, they were not able to give informed consent. Secondly, although participants did have the right to withdraw, he made it very difficult for them to do so. These ethical issues lowered the appropriateness of the research. However, when debriefed, 85% of participants said that they had been pleased to take part in the experiment. A further limitation of this research is that it was a lab experiment. Therefore, participants would not think that a university conducting research would allow them to harm someone else, so they may have guessed that the shocks were not real, thus resulting in such high obedience levels. It is therefore questionable whether these results can be generalized to real-life situations. This consequently weakens the ecological validity of the research. A methodological criticism of the research is that Milgram's sample was androcentric. This means that we are unable to make accurate generalizations to explain obedience in all individuals, as we are unable to predict how females would have behaved if placed in this situation. This subsequently weakens the population validity of the research and supports the research that has gone into obedience.